NHL Best Bets. Yesterday we had a lot of good games, and let's go first through our picks that we had for those games. So we selected Rangers to win Pittsburgh at home. There was a tight game, and Rangers lost it while leading in third period, but then overtime Pittsburgh pulled 5-4 victory. And then other bet was over 6.5 goals in game of Toronto visiting Edmonton. There were over 6.5 goals, but the seventh goal was done in overtime. So after regulation, game was 3-3, so it was under because only 6 goals in the game. So picks were not very good, but how about Tommy? How's our machine doing? I assume better than we.
Yeah, once again it went like before, that the machine was correct most of the time and we were not. So overall side value in all of the games, there was 12 games played. The machine got it right in 9, and of course the Rangers was one of the games that wasn't correct. So that's what we picked. But otherwise, really good result again, and quite expected as it is. We had Edmonton as well winning Toronto. Of course, we only picked the over, which didn't happen this time. So that was our error there. Otherwise, the big favorites held. So Columbus won Minnesota. Of course, now Montreal lost to Calgary, like we've been waiting for them to lose. So finally that happened. So maybe Calgary would like to play in Bell Center in Montreal rather than home in Calgary, because they played better away than home. But that was one of the good value picks that we had as well. Didn't dare to pick it, of course, because of our history with Montreal is not that shining at the moment. Washington then beat Boston. Of course, Alex Ovechkin returning to the lineup, scoring again a goal as well. So there was another favorite, another underdog that we picked to win in Washington against Boston. Of course, also David Pastrnak now back in Boston, so it's a big improvement for their team as well. Let's take another look at the New York Rangers game, because it's our favorite thing to talk about the missed bets that again Rangers led into the third period. They had a lot of scoring chances. Casey DeSmith in Pittsburgh's goal was a bit shaky at times. Pittsburgh's defense was very injured. There was a lot of missing players. Now Chris Letang injured as well. Still, Pittsburgh managed to pull out the 5-4 victory in the overtime. Sidney Crosby, of course, the player who decided that match. He's 18th overtime goal of his career, third most in the NHL history. I just checked that. So good decider there for Pittsburgh Penguins. But New York Rangers really are in trouble, and they haven't found ways to win these games that they really should be winning. So I think there might be some coaching changes, at least thought about at the moment, because it's a team that should produce a lot better than they have, and their system is, or at least seems not to be working as well as they would want. Was there some other highlights that you wanted to pick up there?
Yeah, I think some of these games that we discussed yesterday, Florida, they won on the road against Detroit overtime. Aleksi Heponiemi, the Finnish guy, played first game, scored first overtime victory goal in that first game. So that doesn't happen every night. I think it was fourth player in the history of NHL or something like this who did this kind of treat. And let's see how the Florida will do then again tonight, because they seem to play okay. Of course, Detroit is something that is much below layer team than Florida, and it's always this kind of underdog mentality that could produce some surprises in Detroit, but we can discuss that a bit later. Then we discussed this Buffalo home against New Jersey, and there were value for the home team. It took shootout when they won it, but I think at the end it was deserved win for the home team, and Buffalo maybe can take those first steps towards right direction with that game. The game that you mentioned, the Calgary visiting Montreal, it looks like Calgary is quite a bit roller coaster team. Sometimes they play very, very well from defense point of view. Jakob Markström, goalie, takes all the shots and makes all the saves, but sometimes then it's something else, and that is of course very difficult team to bet when you don't know how they are producing night after night.
Yeah, I think Markström now played a second shutout of the season. Very, very good game for him. I think 37 saves and looked very solid. Like not that much before. That's been a problem. I think Calgary is going through a little bit of defensive growing pains there with Markström. Good goaltender, well, excellent goaltender, but being a little bit unsure on certain situations. So I think it's a growing process, and as the season goes on, defensively, Calgary is probably going to get only better, getting more familiar with their number one keeper, and at the same time, of course, then it helps the offense when they can trust their goaltender, when they can trust their defense. It will be a little bit easier to produce goals as well. It's a good game against Montreal because Montreal has very established defense, very established goaltender already. Everyone is pretty much familiar what's happening, and that's how Montreal has been able to surprise many, is that they can build from the bottom up, from the defense, very reliable in that sense. So I think Calgary is looking to build the same way, and they seem to be starting to do a little bit better, which is good for our projections as well, because we've been favoring Calgary quite a bit in these simulations.
Yeah, another game that you mentioned, Colorado won Minnesota. There, Colorado was again firing with all the cylinders in their offense. Outshoot Minnesota 33-20, win 5-1 on the road. So quite a convincing victory there. Colorado has played now last few games pretty much how we have projected and weighted them to play. Let's see if that trends continue tonight, and Colorado will take the first spot in their division. But there's again quite a bit games. Let's go first through a few picks that we made, and then we can go through other games for tonight. Here we selected two games. Dallas visiting Carolina. Yesterday Carolina won quite, let's say, easily 4-1. Dallas being team with big momentum changes. So when they are playing well, they are playing well, and when they are not, they are not. And that not day was yesterday, so we think that Dallas can bounce back, and based on our simulations, they have clear advantage there. Both teams haven't performed very well in back-to-back games, but there hasn't been too many of these in last 3 seasons. So let's see how this Dallas second away game goes. And then we come back to the Friday night game, Columbus at Chicago. Chicago has some value there again, but we ride with the hot goalies. Kevin Lankinen should be starting at Chicago, and then Latvian Elvis for the Columbus. So those are quality goaltenders, and maybe not so kind of goaltender clinic what happened on Friday, but very similar game expected there between these teams. How do you see these picks? Are they worth to invest a bit more than standard bet size?
Yeah, let's go first to Carolina. Of course, Dallas was run over yesterday by the young Carolina team. Very energetic offensively. Dallas was caught kind of pants down in that game. They couldn't get anything going on, and Carolina scored when they had the chances. I'm 100% sure that in Dallas they've watched a lot of video, a lot of stuff how the first line of Carolina is playing. Sebastian Aho and Svechnikov there completely destroyed that team. So I'm sure there is a lot of angry people in Dallas now arriving to the second game. So they should be doing a lot better this time around, and they do have the tools to stop Carolina. They do have the tools to score some goals, especially now. Petr Mrazek injured early in the first game. Not certain if he's out or is he playing, but either or, the goaltending situation is not that solid in Carolina. So Dallas has the possibility to actually score a couple of goals there. It's a good value for plus 122 for the back-to-back game because it doesn't affect that much. The travel, of course, is not that long and all that. So they've already been in town, watched the videos in hotel, and then they get their revenge. So that's a good bet for sure. And of course, the one that we like, Chicago Columbus under. Both teams, like last time, not much has changed. There is not a lot of lineup changes or anything. So defensively, both teams try to approach the game very carefully. Not a lot of heavy scorers, of course. Patrick Kane and Dominik Kubalik, for example, at Chicago. But as we saw, Columbus is able to shut those guys down pretty well. Both goaltenders for Columbus, Korpisalo and Merzlikins, whoever plays is a solid keeper, perfect fit for the Tortorella system of defense. And also in Chicago, Kemi Lankinen, hopefully he plays now. The difference between him playing and any other of the Chicago goalkeepers is massive, especially how the defense is brave enough to keep the puck and therefore also get out of their own zone, which was showing when Malcolm Subban was playing. The defense was very, very shaky. They caused a lot of turnovers. They caused a lot of odd man rushes and all that. So when Lankinen is playing, the whole team is playing better. So let's hope that he's starting. And if not, then I would probably try not to place this bet.
Yeah, I think it's always good to check the starting goalies if there are some last minute injuries, especially in these total bets, because that is quite a bit depending on the goalie performance. Yeah, Dallas, they managed to create 11 shots yesterday against Carolina, so maybe they are saving the 20 shots that they didn't do yesterday for today, and it would be a different kind of game. There are some of the other back-to-back games. Islanders visits Flyers in Philadelphia, or continue their visit. Yesterday it was overtime game. Philadelphia won it, but Flyers have been pretty tough opponent for Philadelphia because Islanders have been tough opponent naturally for Philadelphia because they have faced 18 times during the last 3 seasons, and Islanders have won 1 out of 3 on the road, so only 33% probability percentage for Philadelphia in this matchup. So Islanders could bounce back, even though we have some value for Philadelphia in this game. And other one, what we have been reviewing a little bit are, of course, these big favorites on the road. Colorado continues in Minnesota, and St. Louis plays against Anaheim, and it was 6-1 last night in St. Louis-Anaheim game. So how do you see these two matches? Even though the odds are quite low, are they worth to bet because of the big favorites?
Well, in the simulations, St. Louis, for example, visiting Anaheim for the second night in a row, St. Louis has 67% chance, according to the simulations, to win, while the odds are 60%. So, of course, there is value again if you want to go for these favorites. Same goes with Colorado against Minnesota. Colorado is 64% favorites, while the odds are around 57 or 56. But wasn't there something with Colorado that we didn't wanna play them? There was a trend that they didn't do very well in the back-to-backs.
Yeah, so Colorado away percentage, win percentage in during the last 3 seasons is 48 and 1%. But their away back-to-back win percentage is only 33, so they have won 1 game out of 3 when they have been playing back-to-back on the road. So maybe their high-octane offense requires a little bit rest days here and there. So that is something that we need to review a little bit more closer. And also Minnesota, they haven't played so badly as maybe some of the pundits have expected, and they have been playing actually quite strong in many of those games. Naturally, the teams that they have faced, LA and San Jose, are not the Colorado level teams, but let's see how the Colorado machine cranks tonight, and see if the Wild is playing in the same category, or are they closer to this bottom 3-4 teams in West Honda Conference or division.
Yeah, for sure. Again, Minnesota probably gonna watch a lot of video after the loss last night, because there was certain things that they need to tighten up. Like you said, they faced a lot of these not so good teams previously, so maybe in Minnesota they might have thought a little bit too much of themselves, and Colorado then showed where the best teams of the division come from. So it was a clear win for Colorado, but probably not going to be as easy tonight against Minnesota. The team is pretty good. Like we have projected them to make the playoffs in this division. So they are an okay team, but they do need to find their best play in order to beat the likes of Colorado, of course.
Yeah, and games. Another back-to-back team that plays is our favorite Edmonton, now not against Toronto like yesterday, but now Ottawa comes to the town. So that is also one game that we would maybe take a closer look how that Edmonton machine works now when they have been able to win game here, another there. Only problem again is this kind of home back-to-back track record from the last 3 seasons, that when they have been winning 46 and 6% of their games at home, they have been able to win only 33% of their home back-to-back games, so 1 out of 3. So that is not any kind of supporting stat to make this bet, but Edmonton should be a bit better team than Ottawa.
Yeah, they are a lot better team, but this does really look like this sort of a trap game for Edmonton. Really hard fought victory last night against one of their main rivals, Toronto. Now Ottawa coming to visit, a lot lesser team, at least in the minds of many, and possibly even Marcus Högberg might start in goal for Ottawa. He hasn't played really well. So Edmonton has everything going for them, which is always really a dangerous situation to be in, especially in back-to-backs, because you do have to keep your concentration. You have to play at your best level. NHL is such a competitive league that there is no easy games, especially now when the divisions, all of them are really close. So you can't let go. And this is a great test for the Edmonton team, and they gather themselves and brought out a victory here.
Yeah, and then the one game that we discussed a bit earlier, Florida continues their trip in Motor City, Detroit. Red Wings haven't won too many games this season. They have won 2, lost 7 and their last victory is from the 20th of January, so 1.5 weeks ago, when they won Columbus at home in overtime. They have lost 2 games in overtime, like yesterday against Florida, and then on the road Dallas, but usually the numbers have been much clearer, and Detroit have been pushing their luck too much, and relying on that one, that puck is bouncing towards them. But maybe tonight's game against Florida is good opportunity to win, because then they continue next week to the Tampa, play 2 games against the top tier Tampa Bay Lightning on the road, and continue then a long road trip to another matchup with Florida and Nashville. So before they are coming back, it's mid-February, and it might be that there's not too many wins from that road trip.
Yeah, it's another chance for Detroit to a little bit clear their name. We've been bashing them quite a bit. Everyone's been bashing them because they haven't played really well, and it doesn't look good regarding the rebuilding process they're doing. Of course, it's okay to lose when you're doing this sort of complete building from the bottom, but they have been pretty bad for so many years already that they should start to show some signs of life. Very bad performances overall. They have troubles almost everywhere on the ice, so definitely something that they just need to push through. And against Florida, who is playing a little bit up and down as well, they have a chance there. Of course, the simulations show almost 70% probability for Florida to take another road victory here, but who knows, maybe Detroit can pull out the rabbit from the hat and beat this Florida team before leaving on the road for a couple of weeks.
Yep, let's see how that goes. One more question at the end. How about our overall numbers from the simulations? We have been doing pretty well, but what are the actual figures?
Yeah, our simulations have been doing really well, a lot better than our picks, of course. In the side value at the moment, we are plus 385 altogether. So nice profit there. In the money line picks, so picking the winner, we've been correct 65% of the time, and the plus 533 profit. So pretty good there as well. And especially a good one has been the over-unders in this season. So we are plus 710. Of course, a little bit less picks there because not every game has value. So about 55 picks made. So overall about plus 1,500 if you would bet all of these. So this is a good number, and let's keep this going and try to improve our picks as well.
We'll start it today with those 2 great picks, and within next 2 hours, first game continues the Sunday evening fever what we faced yesterday, and today is another good day to make some money out of these bets.
Yeah, good day to watch some hockey.
Yep.